Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, a lot of times when I make a video here on the YouTube channel, I can generally predict the type of response I'm about to get. And in this case, the discussion being a potential Super Bowl overseas, like not in the United States, I've got a pretty good idea that a lot of you subscribing to this channel are going to be against this idea. So why is this even being floated out there or discussed by the commissioner of the National Football League, Roger Goodell? Because wasn't it about a year ago, it was October of 2023, he was in London for one of the regular season games, and the media asked him, hey, would you ever consider having a Super Bowl hosted in a different country than the United States? Obviously, a playoff game, you couldn't do that because playoff games are based on who's got the home field advantage. But the Super Bowl has always been a neutral site game. And Roger Goodell said this, quote, I think right now our formula will stay the same about playing in cities that have franchises, right? Because it is kind of a reward to play those games in the cities that are set up for it. And it's the member teams of the league. So that's kind of how he cut things off in October 2023. There wasn't a lot more to take away from that. Well, fast forward to just a couple days ago, Roger Goodell has seemed to drastically change his tune on this. Asked basically the same question again, his response was quite different. Quote, we've always traditionally tried to play a Super Bowl in an NFL city. That was always sort of a reward for the cities that have NFL franchises. But things change. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that happens one day. Talking about a Super Bowl overseas in a different country. Now, what's his reason or motivation to say this? Is it pure honesty? Has he heard some things and maybe is there a change of mindset? I mean, like he says, things change. Maybe they're more open to this now. Maybe they've done a little bit more research and understanding. Maybe they see it from a business sense. I don't know. Again, from the popularity standpoint, if you look at a majority of where football fans are, still very much in the United States, but spreading out globally. Maybe they feel like this is something they have to do to grow the NFL in different countries and markets globally. When you look at Super Bowl sites over the years, Arizona has hosted some, California and Florida have hosted a bunch, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, obviously New Orleans with the Superdome. Michigan's done it twice, same thing with Minnesota. Nevada just got there first with Las Vegas, New Jersey at 1, and Texas at 4. So not even a variety of a bunch of different states have hosted Super Bowls across the United States. A lot of times they go to the same places over and over. And I'm not here to say that that is kind of getting old and boring, but maybe the NFL is kind of looking at this and saying, we don't even venture out across the United States, and nor can they necessarily. Let's remember when the Super Bowl is played and what weather conditions are usually like, and the fact that the NFL likes to go to these warmer climates or cities with domed stadiums so that they don't have to worry about weather one bit. They want the field conditions to be good. They want a fair game. They want fans to enjoy themselves. They want fans to travel to a warm weather city and stay there for a week preceding the game. So even across the U.S., this game is not really diversified. Globally, there has been this international focus for the NFL. Can you believe that pretty soon the NFL will have played at the end of this season 39 regular season games in England alone? They started that in 2007, 1 game a year, then it was 2 games a year, then 3 and even 4 games a year. Mexico has now hosted 5 games from 2016 to the present. Germany has hosted 3 games from 22 to the present. And Brazil hosted its first game in Sao Paulo earlier this season, so they now have 1 under their belt. But you can see the expansion here, and you can see how this is all in recent years. They started in England, in the 2000s, and then in 2016, Mexico, and then Germany, and now Brazil, and maybe a different country on a different continent is coming next to this list. The NFL is considering expanding to 18 games per season. The way they would do that is by adding 1 regular season game to the schedule and also removing 2 preseason games. So from 4 down to 2 preseason games, and that's it. That's how they'd make room and space and time, and that's how they'd get the agreement with the Players Association to add 1 more game by taking away 2 preseason games. But one of the reasons the NFL wants to do this, in addition to other monetary and business rewards, is that this could create room, per Roger Goodell, for 16 international games per year. And that means that every single team, right, 16 times 2 teams in every game, 32 teams, each one of them would have the opportunity to play an international game every season. Now, that is quite the effort. I mean, to pull off 1 or 2 or 3 London games in the same stadium, if it's Wembley or wherever, that's fine. Or to do a one-off in Sao Paulo, but to do 16 games across how many different countries and how many different continents, you basically need to be having an international game every single week. And so you need to have NFL-ready stadiums across the globe. You also need to specifically spread out your bye weeks. I don't think you want overseas travel all the time in the schedule. And like every team needs the bye week probably right after that international game. So it gets interesting, but you can see the NFL's intentions. They've also come up recently with this, and I'm not even sure everybody is aware of this, so you probably haven't seen this before, but the NFL started a marketing and expansion program back in 2022. It was smaller. Now it's even bigger, more teams, more countries. But this allows specific teams to freely market themselves for 5 years in these select countries that they are assigned to. Like Argentina, the Dolphins can lay claim to Argentina for all of their marketing. No other team can jump into Argentina and say we want to market there. Australia's got the Rams and the Eagles, and the list goes on and on. Austria's got more than a handful of teams. Brazil has got some teams. Canada's got 3 teams all very close to the border. China, Colombia, France makes sense with the New Orleans Saints. Germany, whoa, look at all those teams. The Philadelphia Eagles have the rights to Ghana, so that's also an interesting one. Ireland's got the Jaguars, the Jets, the Steelers. Japan's got the Rams. Mexico has Arizona, Dallas, Denver, Houston, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, the Rams, Miami, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. New Zealand, another one that's maybe not what you expected. The Rams and the Eagles. Nigeria with the Browns. South Korea's got the Rams. The Rams seem to be in a lot of these different countries and endeavors. Spain with the Bears and the Dolphins. Switzerland, a handful of teams. And the United Kingdom with the Bears, Jaguars, Dolphins, Vikings, Jets, Steelers, and 49ers. So you can see how they're already kind of laying claim, teams are, to different countries. So here are my takeaways about an international Super Bowl. Let's get back to that. Like, you can see where the NFL's mindset is. Good luck convincing Americans on having the Super Bowl overseas. And I realize, as divided as this country might be in a lot of different ways in recent times, here's one that's pretty bipartisan. I don't think anybody's going to think, well, it's a cool thing to give away the Super Bowl to a different country. And there are some other logistical complications, which I'll get to in the end. But just the fact that you're watching it somewhere else, I don't know. It feels different. It feels like it belongs here. It feels like it could be spread across the United States first before it's spread around globally. And yeah, we're talking about, games that matter of the regular season. It's cool to go play a regular season game overseas and once a year and have a team do that every couple years. But this is the absolute biggest game. This is the game that 3 out of 4 Americans or 2 out of 3 Americans or 2 out of 4 Americans are watching live as it happens. The ratings are bonkers on this one. And I will also say it's a corporate event anyway. If you've ever been to a Super Bowl, it's not like the local fans from San Diego or, when I said San Diego, it's because I went to a Super Bowl in San Diego. There's not even a team there anymore. You know what? That's a totally separate shame. We should get into that video another time. But Atlanta, or whether it's SoFi Stadium or Las Vegas, you're not getting fans from that market going to the game. This is a league event. They invite representatives from all the teams and their sponsors. You're lucky to have barely a small few amount of people from that region getting to go to this game because it's a neutral site thing. So if you host it, hypothetically, somewhere in England, how many Englanders do you think actually get to go to this game versus, we're just going to fly everybody from the US over to the UK and have them go to the game? What's the point in holding it and hosting it elsewhere if it's not going to be for them? Anyway, and then there's also this. If you do the Super Bowl overseas, I feel like you're kind of limited to only certain time zones globally. Think about this. You could play a game that starts at, 9 o'clock at night in England, which is pretty late over there. Right now, that's going to end after midnight. That would mean that the Super Bowl starts at noon on Super Bowl Sunday Pacific time. And 3 o'clock Eastern time? Does the time zone situation even work if it were in Europe? Now, South America would be a little bit more advantageous in terms of the time zones. But if you think about anywhere in Asia or New Zealand, Australia, this is the problem that the Olympics has, and it has always had. You have this global event on the other side of the world. Are you going to have the Super Bowl at 2 a.m. Pacific time? No, nobody's going to want that, watch that. There's no way they would absolutely ever do that. So you are kind of restricted. When we talk about globally, let's be honest, nobody's going to mention this yet, but you are kind of restricted in where this game could be played because of the fact that people will demand to watch it live. So without further delay, a couple things I invite you to do. Let me know what you think about this below. I already have the idea of how this is going to go. Also, while you're down there, hit the thumbs up because you've made it here to the end of this video. I appreciate that. That would help me, this video, and this channel. And make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. That way I can definitely get to see you back here next time.